What is marriage therapy's cost, length, and insurance coverage? Hello, I'm Richard Chandler, a licensed professional counselor from St. Cloud, Minnesota, in the United States. As a marriage therapist and couples counselor who specializes in marriage therapy, questions about the cost, frequency, number of sessions, and insurance coverage are common. This video gives you answers so you can feel more confident about deciding if you wish to begin marriage counseling. If you find this information helpful, please click the like button, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment. I'm especially interested in your comments about your experience with seeking out or actually receiving marriage counseling. What does marriage counseling actually cost? Although the cost for marriage therapy varies a great deal based on the education experience of the marriage therapist as well as your geographic location, a low of $60 and a high of $200 is a typical range here in the United States. Here are some financial considerations for therapy. Most marriage counselors charge by the session. Payment is due at the end of the session. Most marriage therapists accept credit card, check, and cash as payment. Generally, couples counselors do not charge more for two people than they do for one person. It's a rate per session. Longer sessions can raise the costs. Most psychotherapists schedule on the hour. Insurance companies generally only pay for 45-minute or 50-minute sessions. Because most therapists work with insurance companies, scheduling appointments an hour apart is typical. Sessions with couples often do take longer than individuals in order to make progress within the session. This is due to bickering of the couple and also getting past a feeling of defensiveness when a husband or wife has been critical of their partner within the session and the other person wants to respond and defend. Many experienced marriage counselors, including me, find that scheduling on the hour doesn't give enough time to do an effective job. Couples counselors sometimes schedule their sessions every hour and 15 minutes to every hour and a half. In my own marriage therapy practice, I schedule sessions an hour and a half apart. This allows me to give clients a full hour, and if the session goes a little over an hour, I don't charge extra. Specialized training in marriage therapy may increase the cost. The states within the United States have as many as 6 mental health licenses. All of those licenses in Minnesota, for example, as in most other states, permit the psychotherapist to practice marriage therapy. The underlying master's degree level training needed to earn a marriage and family therapy license, or an LMFT, is much more focused on couples than the coursework preparation for other types of mental health licenses. I had the underlying courses in my graduate school program to obtain both the licensed marriage and family therapy license as well as a licensed professional clinical counselor license. Instead, I elected to get a licensed professional counselor LPC license because I did not want to diagnose clients with mental illness in order to help them with their careers, relationships, and marriages. I also wanted a higher degree of confidentiality for my clients than is possible when therapists are required to upload their clients' confidential information, including each session's treatment notes, to insurance company and government data banks. Because insurance companies and government agencies do not typically work with LPCs, it was the ideal license for me, despite having the training for obtaining a licensed marriage and family therapy license. How about the counselor's experience versus inexperience, and how does that affect costs in therapy? Psychotherapists who are new in their profession often charge less than those with years of experience. New practitioners need to make a start, and one way to appeal to potential clients is to offer services well below market value. When you see low fees for a marriage therapy, well below $100 per session, practitioner inexperience may be the primary reason. Specialization in marriage therapy can justify a higher session fee. Specialists in many fields command higher fees than generalists. Therapists who do not specialize may work with a wide age range in their clients, from children to people of advanced ages. Psychology generalists work with a wide variety of mental health challenges rather than focusing in on specialty areas. Specialists in couples counseling and marriage therapy are able to gain greater insight into how to work constructively with couples. Marriage counseling specialists must learn how to work with couples where one or both have had an affair an inappropriate relationship, or some other form of infidelity, including financial infidelity. Working with one or both partners who have had or currently have alcohol or other addiction issues is often common. Or one may need to work with one or even both partners who have had or currently have alcohol or other addiction issues. Outbursts of anger towards each other, low trust with each other, parenting disagreement, conflict with in-laws and relatives are all common issues that don't necessarily come up with just one person in the room. Your location, whether in a rural area or an urban area, significantly impacts the cost. In comparison with rural areas, the housing costs of living in a city tend to be higher, and the salaries and hourly wages for urban residents are also typically higher. In general, smaller town marriage counseling is likely to have the lowest fees based on the wages typically paid in rural locales. Medium-sized cities tend to have session fees priced in the mid-range, and larger cities and densely populated metropolitan areas often have the highest session fees. Online counseling versus in-person marriage counseling can impact the pricing of marriage counseling. There has been a significant rise in online marriage therapy as an option. Although I primarily work with couples in my St. Cloud, Minnesota office, some couples have also worked with me remotely. My experience is that in-person marriage therapy is superior. There are nuances with in-person couples counseling that I notice, like how something is said, how it is received, the body language of each of the partners, how the couple members interact directly with each other versus only wanting to communicate with me rather than with their partner. Larger national companies are now doing couples counseling. Those companies recruit counseling therapists who do not wish to have the expense of renting a professional office, and therapists who don't want the risk of starting and operating their own business. Online counseling businesses recruit therapists who choose not to invest in their own advertising, website, and online marketing and advertising. By working for an online therapy business, therapists forego the cost and work involved to attract their own clients directly. Consequently, online practitioners earn significantly less than they might receive if they had independent, in-person marriage therapy practices. Corporate psychotherapy firms therefore pay substantially less money to counselors. Online corporate counseling businesses do not typically rent office space for their therapists, so online marriage therapists typically do the counseling right out of their own home. Because overhead is lower on the corporate side and the therapist's side, marriage therapy may be offered for a lower cost, but still be highly profitable for the corporate online agencies. But understand this: the quality of online couples counseling, as compared to in-person marriage counseling, is likely to be much lower, as it attracts therapists that are willing to settle for substantially lower fees. What is the financial cost of not seeking professional marriage counseling? Couples who are not communicating all that well together and are in an unstable marriage or romantic partnership may spend far more money than the cost of doing marriage therapy together. Here are some of those costs. The cost of not making financial decisions together. When couples are not communicating all that well, often one of them will begin having financial infidelity of some kind, such as by overspending with credit cards. As the marriage partner, you are still financially responsible for the debt that your spouse incurs. The cost of renting an additional living space if your partner moves out. The cost of divorce attorneys, which can range between $5,000 and $20,000 per person in central Minnesota, and much higher than that on the east and west coasts and in larger cities. The cost of settling the divorce by having to sell a large joint asset quickly, such as your house, your lake home, your boat, your recreation vehicles, or even your business, in order to settle a divorce. And the increased cost in daycare when the husband or wife or the partner's relative is no longer available to watch your children. And finally, the cost of paying state and federal taxes as a single person rather than as a married person. Next, we'll discuss how long do couples go to marriage counseling. First part of this is what is the frequency of sessions in couples counseling. Every other week is a standard frequency in marriage therapy. It allows couples enough time to incorporate what they learn in counseling sessions into their routines, as well as to communicate better with each other. This every other week frequency also helps mates to keep forward momentum. When there is too much time between sessions, it is easy for couples to fall back into their old patterns. In my practice, I find that couples whose marriage is on the verge of suddenly ending, as can be the case with infidelity, angry aggressive outbursts, or severe threats of divorce, it is best to see the couple weekly for a week or two until they stabilize. Once there is less likelihood of a sudden exit by one of the partners, an every other week schedule will follow the initial weekly sessions. After partners incorporate some of what they learn in marriage therapy into their daily lives, they often begin to get along much better. Progress can be made without seeing people as often as every other week, and the frequency of marriage counseling sessions can decrease. Every 3 weeks for a few sessions, then monthly for a few more sessions, works well for many couples, so improvements continue and old patterns do not reemerge before ending the marriage counseling. How many sessions is common with marriage counseling? The number of marriage therapy sessions that couples complete before concluding varies widely, ranging from 1 to as many as 15 sessions. In my own practice, for couples that do not end their marriage therapy prematurely, it has often ranged from 5 to 10 sessions. Sometimes couples end their couples counseling sessions prematurely for a variety of reasons, including financial stress. They are getting along better, and one or the other declares it is good enough. The pain of not getting along is less than their perceived pain of paying for marriage counseling. One of them has perhaps observed that his or her partner hasn't put marriage therapy suggestions into action and concluded that additional sessions are a waste of time and money. On the other hand, a good many couples are committed to healing their relationship and stay with counseling until it concludes by graduating from marriage therapy. Couples that do not quit early have more confidence because they have learned to understand each other better and learn better communication skills to once again be happy together. And finally, why doesn't insurance cover marriage therapy? The reason insurance does not cover couples in marriage counseling is because trouble in your relationship is not a diagnosable mental illness. What makes a psychological issue eligible for payment under insurance and government programs is that it is diagnosable as a mental illness and treatable using either psychotherapy, medications, or both. For insurance to pay, the psychotherapist must directly treat your diagnosed mental illness. This is very different from marriage therapy, where couples learn to have their wants and needs met and communicate with each other without criticism or defensiveness. You might ask, could marriage therapy be covered if a diagnosed mental illness impacts your marriage? If a mental illness by one of the partners is a major contributing factor to not getting along, it would be individual counseling for the person with the mental illness, not couples counseling. After diagnosing you or your partner and beginning individual therapy for the diagnosed mental illness, the marriage partner could be brought into the individual counseling session from time to time. This would be done to support the changes the person with the diagnosed mental illness is endeavoring to make. Occasionally, bringing a partner into the individual session also helps the therapist to understand what their client's home environment and relationships are like. The therapist can better understand the spouse's role in either helping or hindering the progress of that therapist's individual client. Insurance pays for that individual session at times when a romantic partner is present, as it does with any other individual session, because it is still individual therapy and not couples counseling. What is your risk of attempting to pay for couples counseling with insurance? If you call a counseling therapist to inquire about marriage therapy and that psychotherapist or his or her staff tells you that your insurance can pay for your couples counseling, they are not being upfront with you. In order for your couples counseling therapy to be paid, your insurance company would need to be told that the purpose of the counseling is to treat one of you with individual counseling for a diagnosed mental illness. The only way to have your insurance plan pay for your couples counseling is to misinform your insurance company. They cannot know the truth about the true nature of the work that you and your partner are doing together, or they would not and could not pay for it. If a counselor or their staff person engages in misinforming your insurance company, and your insurance company discovers that you have been doing marriage therapy rather than treating a mental illness as an individual therapy, your insurance company is likely to deny payment. In that case, you would owe the counselor's business. The unexpected bill could be quite large. You may have had quite a few sessions before your insurance company figures out that the counseling was not treating diagnosed mental illness and your claim was denied. Now, there is a caveat to payment, and that is this. Some employers will pay for a few sessions of marriage counseling. Many larger companies and government employers have what are called employer benefit plans that provide between 1 and 5 counseling sessions for any kind of counseling, as long as you do the counseling through the employer benefit plan's designated therapists. Typically, those plans pay therapists very low fees, usually ranging from half to 3/5 of a therapist's usual fee. Even though the pay is low, many therapists elect to be a part of those plans as a way to get people in the door. They hope to convert those people into insurance clients or direct pay clients after the employer paid sessions conclude. Even though you must pay for marriage therapy on your own, counseling to help your romantic partnership is probably worth it for you and your mate. Marriage counseling is still much less costly than ending your relationship, even if your romantic partnership or marriage still ends after the marriage therapy. It is likely that your ability to communicate with each other will have improved. And improved communication can help you both be more cooperative co-parents. The time spent in couples therapy could help you to work through the custody, visitation, child support arrangements, and dividing up your property more easily than would have been the case absent marriage counseling. You might also find it helpful to watch our companion video on the success rate of marriage therapy. I really appreciate an opportunity to engage with you through answering questions or responding to comments that you leave in the comments section. I also very much appreciate your support for subscribing to this YouTube channel, liking this video, and sharing it with others who might find it helpful or of interest. Thank you for your kind attention.